to overcome fear and move forward. We're back with Jack Canfield, the best-selling author of 66 books, whose new book, The Success Principles Workbook, just came out, and today he's going to walk us through the 6 steps that you can take in order to understand fear, overcome fear, and turn it into success. This is super important, especially with everything that is going on right now, which has left many people paralyzed with anxiety. This is the second of 3 episodes on different topics with Jack Canfield, so make sure that you check out his first episode too, where we talked about his success principles after you're done with this one, and I'll add a link to it in the description area. Also subscribe to my new YouTube channel and hit the bell sign so that you don't miss out on the next Invest Diva episodes. In fact, if you're new here, welcome! My name is Kiana Danial. I'm the founder of the Invest Diva movement, a tribe of proactive moms who are in charge of their financial future and sleep soundly at night because their money works for them. If you want to see how you can join the movement, open up a new browser and go to learn.investdiva.com/yes. Now let's go say hi to Jack Canfield and find out about his methods to overcome fear and move forward. Let's go! To Invest Diva movement. Thank you so much for being here. We are in our house, stuck in the quarantine, and we are talking about fear. It is something that I feel anyone has felt it recently, regardless of the amount of success or wealth that you've had. And I wanted to take your take on it, how to overcome fear and move forward and actually be productive in the times like this.
Well, fear is something that shows up a lot whenever there's anything threatening in the environment. And right now we have this coronavirus pandemic. We have a financial downturn in the markets. We have a lot of people who've either lost their job or are afraid of losing their job, have seen other people lose their job. They're seeing all these numbers rising of people that are in the hospitals on ventilators and so forth. So the thing about fear that you have to realize, though, fear is self-created. Even if there was a snake in your room crawling toward you, you'd have to go into the future and imagine it biting you or biting your child, because I see you have a little playpen behind you, but in order to feel afraid. And the reality is, in the present moment, nothing bad's happening. You're just watching a snake crawl across the floor. So basically, when you're in the present moment and you're in the present, dealing with what you have now, things are fine. Almost everyone watching this is sitting at home. They're fine. They're healthy. The people they know and love are healthy. They've got food in the refrigerator, food in the pantry. They have the ability to go out.
Toilet papers. Sorry.
They've got toilet paper. I saw a wonderful cartoon of a guy. He had so much toilet paper, he built an igloo out of it, and he was inside looking out like afraid, like the toilet paper was going to keep him safe. But anyway, so the idea being that you want to come back into the present moment. And this is where meditation and mindfulness comes in really healthy. So in the present moment, like take a moment to stop and say, okay, what am I feeling in my body? What's really going on? It's just my thoughts that are making me scared. So now we have a bunch of options. Number one, we can replace the thoughts with the positive thought. A couple of years ago when the, well, it was more than a couple of years, 2008, when the big meltdown happened and economically, I was in New Hampshire giving a talk to real estate people, RE/MAX franchise owners. And everybody was down about 40 to 50%, except one guy. There was one guy in a room who wasn't. And I went up to him and I said, everyone tells me you're doing really well. Everyone else is down 40, 50%. I hear you're up. He says, I am. I said, well, I want to bring you to the front of the room and interview you. So he said, okay. So after the break, I brought him up. I said, Frank, tell me about what's going on. What thoughts are you thinking that are different than everyone else in the room? He said, everyone else is thinking thoughts like, oh my God, I'm going to have to lay people off. You know, the mortgage people I work with are going to go out of business. I'm not going to close that sale I had. This is really a bad time. Am I going to make it? He said, my self-talk is, I always do well no matter what's going on in the economy. And so his self-talk was different. And he was staying in the present moment. And then we talked about what he was doing differently than everyone else. Everyone else was like cutting back on their advertising, afraid to spend money, etc. He was like doing more advertising. And you know, I met a woman during that time who was, because I do a lot of talks for real estate groups, and she was not selling a lot of houses at the time, but what she was doing, she decided, I'm going to teach women how to buy their first house. Because I've got all these single moms, I've got all these women that are working in Silicon Valley who are young, and they're making some money, but they don't know anything about how to buy a house. So she started doing these classes on Saturdays, in the morning for people who wanted to learn how to buy a house. When the market finally came back, guess who everyone went and bought a house from? This woman. So the idea was, because they didn't get scared and stayed in the present moment and said, okay, what can I do right now? And what can I think? Not being in their amygdala, being up in their prefrontal cortex, they were able to get through that. Now, another technique is called EFT tapping. You're probably familiar with the emotional freedom technique, where we tap on 9 different acupressure points while we think this fear of loss, or this fear of the market going down, or this fear of going bankrupt, or fear of being, dispossessed, or what's the word I want, evicted from my apartment, or whatever. And literally within 3 to 5 minutes, you can get rid of any fear or phobia if you use EFT. The challenge is, when you're afraid, you forget the things you know to do to not be afraid anymore. So let's hope this is a reminder to people to use these skills. If you don't know how to do EFT tapping, just go to YouTube, type in EFT tapping, and you'll see hundreds and hundreds of videos. You can just tap along with any one of the practitioners who's doing it and get rid of that. There's a thing in meditation. We know that when you breathe in through your heart and out through your heart, what does that mean? You imagine inhaling air into your heart instead of into your lungs this way. And you exhale, imagine it's coming out of your heart. And then you imagine someone you love, or some person or place, like it might be your child, you send them love, and you appreciate them, and really get into a state of appreciation. I know I'm there when I'm smiling. When I start to smile, because I always send it to my wife, and I'm just like, oh, I love her so much. I appreciate her so much. And when I get that smile, I know I'm there. The woman who wrote The Secret would do appreciation and gratitude exercise in the morning. She wouldn't start writing until a tear came down her face. She said, once I was in that space, I was totally creative. I was tapped into the universal intelligence. So anything that raises your vibration, brings you into gratitude and love and joy, will take you out of fear. The fourth thing, I lost count, but the other thing you can do is imagine the positive outcome. So if fear is imagining a negative outcome, joy and being in the present moment would be imagining the positive outcome in the future. So instead of, I'm losing my house, oh, I'm going to have creative ideas and make even more money. I'm going to get through this with, more friends. I'm going to have more impact. We know a lot of people are going, hey, the market's going down. Yeah, it is. And guess what? It always comes back up. I remember, because I'm 75 years old, when it'll never go to 10,000. It'll never do it. Then it was, it'll never go to 20,000. It'll never go to 29,000. And it crashed. I've been through 3 recessions, 2 wars, 9/11. It always comes back. So think about this, everyone listening to this right now, you have survived everything that ever happened to you. Anything that's ever happened to you, abusive parents, alcoholic husbands, whatever it is, you've survived it. So you'll survive this. And if you start with that attitude and belief, I will survive. There's nothing to be afraid of except my thoughts. It was Franklin Roosevelt said, nothing to fear but fear itself. So we need to be reminded, and you can put little reminders around your house, like, tapping, EFT, breathing exercises, just taking a moment to breathe into the count of 6 and out for the count of 6 as you focus on the sensations of your body. That will get rid of fear. So there's a lot of techniques to get rid of the fear. And then when you're not in the fear anymore, then you can be rational, you can make intelligent decisions, and you can be creative.
That is amazing. And for people who are working from, who are watching this at home, the number 3 and number 4 that you mentioned, I actually did interview Margaret Lynch-Ranieri for tapping. I'm going to add a link to that YouTube video in the description. And for appreciation, I actually interviewed Carla White. She has an appreciation gratitude app. And it's just amazing how these little things, if you do it consistently, can really help you shift not only from fear, but really becoming more successful, which is what, in whatever area and field you want to be, which is where we want to go. We want to go from fear to a positive state, to where we are happy and successful. So these are absolutely great tips. Is there anywhere in the book that you just released that you actually work on fear, and there are some exercises that people can take when actually?
Yes, chapter 8 talks about it. Says everything you want is on the other side of fear. Let me turn to that page of my own book right now. Starts on 110. And it's, first of all, look, fear is not a terrible thing. I mean, if you're walking down the street and you hear someone walking behind you in a late night, in New York City, it heightens your awareness, and you get into what we call, heightened awareness, and you go into protection mode, which gives you the ability to run faster, fight faster, you're more muscular and all that. The problem is most of the things that scare us now are our own thoughts, and we get this constant stress going on, which puts us into cortisol, which, by the way, lowers your immune system, which is the last thing you want to be doing right now. There's a man named Dawson Church, and he has a meditation on YouTube called Echo Meditation, ECO Meditation. And the research on this, it's a 20-minute meditation, and you can watch it every day. If you watch that for 7 days in a row and do it, there's actually peer-reviewed journal research with scientists that show that your immune system, your immunoglobulins in your saliva, which is what you want right now because this comes in through your nose and mouth, the coronavirus, increases by 113%. So imagine doubling your immune response to the coronavirus simply from doing a 20-minute meditation every day. So the meditation is cool because it combines two things we talked about. It combines breathing, it combines tapping, and it combines breathing in through your heart, which is the heart math quick coherence process, which combines your head and your heart, which makes you more creative. So that's an amazing resource that everyone should be aware of. And the last thing I would say about fear, there's really not that much to be afraid of right now. If you're not someone who's living with a compromised immune system because of pneumonia, or maybe you have asthma or things like that, the chance of you getting ill and not surviving is about 0.001%. So, and if you're in that case, you need to sequester yourself. You need to not be out there in the environment. You need to be smart about it. But most people, as long as you stay out of fear and your immune system is strong, and you don't want to be in fear because it will weaken your immune system, then what happens is you're going to get through this. You'll get something that feels like the flu. 96% of cases that were considered severe where they went on ventilators in China, people are healthy now. They're walking around. So we have the capacity to heal ourselves, especially, and this is a time to eat well. This is a time not to be eating a lot of sugar. And it's a time to exercise. Anything that brings your heat up, exercise, saunas, keep the heat on your house, do Bikram yoga, but don't go to a studio, do it in your own home, sweat, drink hot teas, drink hot food, as opposed to making cold blender drinks with ice in it. All those things are going to help you survive. And then take vitamin C, B12, there's, turmeric, there's things like that. You can go online and say, what are good supplements to take? And then you know you're doing everything you can do, and then just let it go and live your life.
Right. But I do want to actually point here, just because you overcome your fear doesn't mean that you should be going out. So please stay home.
Absolutely.
Because
no, when I say live your life behind your home, your doors.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even if, of course, a lot of us could potentially survive this, but it's for the sake of other people and flatten the curve and the doctors and the nurses. So definitely don't be fearful. Use this time to be productive and use this time to really serve other people, but stay home. That I definitely love.
And this is such a good time. I teach something called the Hour of Power, which is 20 minutes of meditation, 20 minutes of reading, and 20 minutes of exercise. If you do that every day, you're going to be healthier, wealthier, and wiser. And so this is a great time, whether it's my book, the Success Principles Workbook, or whether it's one of your books, or of course you have, of course I have, whatever. Take this time and go through the exercises so that at the end of this period where we're sequestered at home, you're not the same person. Most people were driving to work for at least a half an hour, sometimes an hour both ways. And you now have this time to take better self-care, to educate yourself, do the kind of exercises we're talking about here. And at first I thought my book's launching right in the middle of the coronavirus. This is terrible. And then I realized, no, this is an opportunity.
Awesome.
Because people have the time to actually do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. Again, thank you so much, Jack, for coming back on the show. You guys, if you haven't got this book already, you need to get this. You need to work on this while in quarantine and even afterwards, because this actually takes time and practice. Like, I've been doing these things for 10 years and still I get it wrong, because you just forget things. So you want to have it, you want to keep doing it, and you want to continue practicing this. So thank you so much again for being on the show. You guys, let us know what you think about this, how you are dealing with the fear of coronavirus or any other fear in your life. If you like this video, like it, share it with anybody in your life that could appreciate it, and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Da, da, da.